Hi guys, welcome back to Ibn Sina, Avicenna Clinicas. My name is Lady. I'm the marketing coordinator for Ibn Sina, and today we are now in the month of February, which is love all around. And today we decided to sit down with our director of behavioral health and also a licensed marriage family therapist, Ms. Mahtab Moradi. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for making time to talk about this important topic.
Of course, thank you. I know you have a great amount of expertise, especially love. Love can come in many ways. What do you think about love in terms of that? How do you see love in relationships, whether it be couples, families? I know you deal with both.
Yeah, I think love gets thrown around really kind of freely, but we all interpret love differently. And obviously the love that we experience in our family systems often gives us what we call kind of the love map of who we eventually become in a relationship. So that's why, modeling becomes really important. And of course there's also like the social media or the movies where they teach us about love. And sometimes that doesn't fit everyone's reality, but it is a working definition, and sometimes we operate from that stance, and then we get into some realities of a relationship or what we think is love, and then we get ourselves in big trouble because then our version is very different than the person we're with.
That's true. I feel like, definitely, social media and stories and reading, especially me, I'm getting into a lot of reading romance. So I'm like, oh my gosh, love comes in so many different ways, and there's different love types, and how you want to receive. What was it, like services, words of affirmation, so different ways.
The
love language. There we go. That's what it's called, love languages. But one of the first things I want to talk about, because I know you do a lot with like marriage and couples. We're talking about love. What brings most couples in therapy for the first time? Like, what are you seeing a lot of?
So, I've been doing this almost 22 years, and a lot of times what brings couples in is after they've hit a wall. So sometimes it's a young couple that maybe just got married and they are out of their honeymoon phase, and they're looking at the realities of what it's like to live with someone, sharing, household chores, finances, sometimes like the discrepancy of how they view maybe parenting or even the idea of having a child in their life and what that means. And so that's kind of the first time I meet them. Nowadays, I think y'all's generation is so smart, because I'm getting more calls about, hey, I've been talking to this guy and it's like going in the right direction. Haven't even introduced him to my parents, but can we get like 5-6 sessions in just to see on those hot topics if we're on the same page? And you don't understand, like, that is music to my ear. Because unfortunately, on the messy side of my work, people sometimes have already called a divorce lawyer, or they have emotionally left the marriage before they ever call me, and that's just devastating. But if you can catch things early, because we all, every couple goes through similar things about, like, we all need to have discussions or be on the same page about our money. We need to be on the same page about how we want to be parents, or maybe our relationship, what love means to us after we are with our significant other, and how do we still keep the what we call FOO, family of origin relationships. And especially in the like immigrant families or multi-generational families, those ties are very much intact. People just don't like get married and go on
and live all,
so what does that mean after you marry someone? If you have like interracial or intercultural marriage or interfaith marriages, like, what is instilled in you about who you become when you form a union with someone, right? So love is very complicated.
To
say the least.
And I imagine it comes in all shapes and forms. And we talked about love within like romantic love, but I know there's also, you deal with a lot of families and group families, and talk about how like love within the family is seen, or what are you seeing when like they're struggling to communicate with each other? Like what do you try to tell them, like, hey, you know?
Yeah, so a lot of times with families, when we run into problems is when there's a lack of structure, or if there is some big life change that throws everybody off. Like people have role confusion, you know, maybe it's dad loses a job and then suddenly mom has to support. So the whole dynamics of the family system changes, expectations change, the roles change, right? Or we have, again, in some families where we have a child, like an adult child in a family that is maybe supporting the whole family for whatever reason. And so it looks different because then love is tied into power, right? And then power is tied into sometimes access to means or access to a good income. And these things kind of shift and shuffle the family dynamics. And so the definition of love changes, or definition of that cohesive family changes. So that's why as a family therapist, you always want to take your time and see what's that family's definition, because it's going to vary with your definition, right? So that's really important to map out.
Interesting. And then you talked about especially here at Ibn Sina, we serve a lot of people from different places, different backgrounds, different cultures, faith, and I imagine it's case by case, right? Within like a family, like anybody that comes into therapy is case by case. But imagine here, especially in Ibn Sina, you see that a lot with like immigrant families or just families from different backgrounds and faiths as well.
Yeah, so I love that you bring that up, because it's not just the different faiths, it's also different rules that guide the decisions around marriage. You know, like in some cultures, getting married really, really young is totally the norm. You know, in some cultures, the idea of like what the woman's role is in a family looks different. You know, some cultures have a different tolerance. In some countries, it's expected, everything is equal, everybody should go to work. In some cultures, the man will get offended if you even mention it. And then even within those cultures, it's varied, because some people they traveled, maybe they went to school in a different country, so their perspective on all this got shaped differently. So just because, you know, a woman is from Saudi Arabia, that doesn't mean I need to assume all the things like, oh, she'll never want to work, or her man won't let her, or, you know, these are what we call our intrinsic bias, you know, towards family systems. So you want to make sure that you hang back and you because people are their own experts, right? Therapy is a tool. It's for people to help navigate their relationship. That doesn't mean they don't have any tools. I mean, I always tell couples, like, you've been doing a lot things right than wrong. That's why I'm meeting you at 38 or something, you know, like, so to giving people that confidence is important too.
Nice. And I know we talk about those different backgrounds, and I think it's also important to point out a lot of our providers come from different backgrounds, so I feel like that helps a lot, especially when looking for therapy. And we talk about different backgrounds. Sometimes, let's say as a patient, it's a little hard, like, oh, would they understand my background? Like, this is just a cultural thing. But I feel like what's really special about the Ibn Sina team, and I got to know y'all pretty well, is that we have, you know, providers from all different places, all different backgrounds, which I think is really, really sweet. So shout out to you to building that team and making sure that gets covered here, especially in this like Houston area, right? That we see a lot of. But talk to me about, so we talked about conflict, but I want to know how we can repair, because I feel like people come to therapy to repair, to, you know, go over that hill. And is conflict healthy in a relationship? Like, is that normal? You know, when does it become like harmful? So as a person, let's say watching, like, how do I know to kind of keep eye, like, okay, I know conflict is here, but how do I, you know, stay safe and stuff like that?
Yeah, so one of the goals of couples counseling or premarital counseling is you want to help normalize conflict, because it's absolutely impossible to be in a lifetime agreement with someone and never have conflict. So if a therapist is telling you, I'm here to help you never have conflict, I don't know where they went to school, because that's just not it.
Yeah.
The other thing is, again, it goes back to, you want to give a couple the tools so conflict doesn't completely throw them off rhythm, that they know their boundaries around conflict. And one, huge red flag is obviously safety, right? So conflict is healthy as long as it's safe, as long as there's a path to some resolution, and as long as at the end there is a gain made by the couple as a unit. So that's why, I always tell couples, like, it's not that you being right or wrong. So there is, if the guy wins and the girl loses an argument, the relationship loses. If the girl wins, the guy loses, the relationship loses. It's only when the relationship wins that everybody wins. And this is a very common mistake, because people are often trying to navigate a committed relationship, such as marriage or engagement, or just a committed boyfriend girlfriend situation, and they go into conflict with the mindset of a person who's single, with the idea that I'm right, they're wrong. Let me call my mom to make sure I'm right. Let me call my sister. Let me call half the town. Like, these are bad ideas. Yeah. You should go to your person, and if you keep having these hurdles, have a professional neutralize it and teach you how to argue again, because more than likely you're bringing your argumenting, like the style of argument, the conflict resolution is maybe something you did on your sibling all your life. Well, this is not your sibling. Yeah. Maybe you watched your parents or grandparents yell at each other and everybody's hugged at the end, and in someone else's house people yelled at each other and they got divorced and the whole thing burned down. Never
spoke again.
So it means different things, right? So being able to have that flexibility.
And what are some effective ways couples can repair after an argument? Do you think some tools you want to kind of give them, for in the kind of heatest moment, or there's a hurdle to cross? What are some simple tools that you think might help in terms of easing that out?
So one of my favorite, and this I use a lot of, so EFT stands for emotion focused therapy, where you help folks tap into those emotional barriers that hinder connection, right? So one of the biggest supporters and kind of the industry standard is Gottman method or Gottman theory. They have several really good tools. One of them is the relationship bank account. You cannot have a withdrawal when you don't make deposits. So being able to form connection, another term that's used quite often is the bids for connection. Looking for those subtle cues in your partner where they're seeking your validation without actually verbatimly making that statement, but that you are kind of invested enough in their nonverbal interaction or their behaviors that you respond to them in that sense. Another one of my favorite is the 7-minute rule. If you feel that physiologically you are getting kind of more aroused in a negative way, not in the good way, you're just becoming defensive, maybe you are tightening up and your heart rate goes up, that is a signal from your own central nervous system, you are not in a good position to argue. Maybe your body needs a break.
So we take those 7 minutes.
And so I tell my couples, I'm put an egg timer and maybe just pick not the most serious, conflict in their relationship. Maybe a number 7, a medium hard one. And maybe it's okay, we can't agree on buying a home or renting a home, something like that. And then put on the egg timer to 7 minutes. and have everybody give their perspective. And if it's like, if you can feel that your partner is walking to the middle, you're walking to the middle, and you're doing the dance, let it go. If someone's getting defensive, maybe someone's raising their voice, they're cursing, or I don't want to, or shutting down, like I don't want to talk about it, I'm sick, you're always this way, never, all this like fire words, then say, let's table it. After 7 minutes, we're not getting anywhere, and let's wait 24 hours. And let our like defense mechanisms kind of feel grounded. And I always tell people, do something nice for each other, and then go do something playful or neutral. Don't bring the kitchen sink. Do not bring every argument you've had and then try to like add it to the tab.
Like, you know what you did last week, actually. Okay.
Because what especially the male brain does is, oh my God, I just can't, let me go hide like turtle. And then when a man does that, the woman, see, he's gonna leave me anyway. So then there's that core attachment, the threat to survival for the female. And our survival instinct is built into, you know, one day becoming someone's mom. So the reason we act jealous, we do all kinds of ways to kind of pull the man in emotionally is because evolutionary, we want someone for paternity certainty. We want someone who's going to stick around and make sure our offspring survives this ordeal called life. So then we have all kinds of little games, and culturally we vary depending on the patterns of behavior. But what's important in an argument, that, you know, when you're not in a good place in your relationship, that's exactly the time to be saying the I love yous, the reassurance. We don't have this resolved, but I'm not going anywhere. Let's both take a break. You want to talk the language of, you know, Switzerland, neutrality, neutrality, neutrality. And not having this like, I always tell my families, the house is not on fire, so don't act like it. We will sort this out. And not everything, it didn't take this long to get this messy, and it won't take just, you know, 45 minutes to fix it all. So being patient.
Nice. Kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, right? Seeing the grass is green on the other side sometimes.
There's a solution to everything but death.
Okay.
Everything can be resolved. I have helped so many marriages out of like infidelity, addiction, like, you know, obviously I can't say who or what, but anything is possible when two people are bought in to kind of have that resolution. We just need the participants.
Nice. Talking about Valentine's, it is February, and we talk about love. We talk about love within, you deal with a lot of families, a lot of couples. In terms of couples, what is one small habit that can strengthen a relationship?
I think if you can find one thing that your spouse or your person or your family member likes, and try to build that into your habits, you know, your acts of kindness. I think those go a long way, rather than trying to make Valentine's Day this big thing or birthday this big event, but rather spread it out through the year, because those things kind of have a lot more of return on your investment, if you want to call it, when it comes to relationships.
And then, so that was on the couple side. How about for family? What is a small habit that can strengthen a family relationship and function?
So I think for families, a big one is rituals and quality time together. So not watching movies because you're not using your social skills. So in order to tap into our core attachment, you need a situation where you're having to read someone else's feelings and respond to it. And we're actually going into a major crisis in our society, that people are losing those very basic skills. So, you know, we're so comfortable to just be behind the scenes. And so we're having like this failure to launch emotionally on all fronts. Because AI, social media, all these dating apps, it makes it easier for us to just put our tippy toe into romance, into love without the risk taking. So then those skills that we need to form deep attachments with people, they're never getting exercised, right? So if it's like me asking you, let's go do a half marathon, and we don't even walk from here to there. So that's not a good thing, because our very survival is tied into how we can create love and connection. It's tied into our immune system. It's tied into our purpose, the reason we want to live and be in this world. And that's why you're like, anxiety is through the roof at any age. You know, we are just in kind of a crisis. So a lot of things can be cured in our lives when we fix our relationship patterns, because both men and women benefit from that security and safety that comes with a healthy relationship.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Mahtab, for today, for a little chat about love within relationships.
You're full of wisdom anyway.
Please, guys. But thank you so much. And yeah, I'll put Mahtab's information down below. Again, we're here at Ibn Sina Clinicas, where we have all types of therapy, whether it be licensed family marriage therapy, individual therapy, all types of therapy, psychiatry, pediatric neurology, all types. We have a big old spectrum now, and we're always here available. Well, thank you so much for the talk, and hope you have a great Valentine's in February. Bye bye.